We're going to start the new year with two fantastic orchestral pieces. The concert is going to be framed by the Prokofiev Classical Symphony, which is a rollicking good time, a work that Prokofiev actually wrote under somewhat dire circumstances. There was fighting in the streets, and he went off to the country in his homeland of Russia and kind of hunkered down and decided to write a piece of music that was based on classical elements. Typically, at this point in Prokofiev's life, he was looking to kind of push the limits of what music was understood to be, but he kind of circled back to his roots during this time and composed a very concise four-movement, classically inspired piece that's very accessible and filled with all kinds of clever kind of turns of corners in Prokofiev's way. But it's a cornerstone of the orchestra repertoire and a work that will put the orchestra through its paces. Very, very fun, sparkling piece of music. This is the first time the orchestra will play the Prokofiev with David. And if his past experience with the orchestra is any indication, we will have very brisk tempos, and he will pull out all of the drama inherent in the piece, and drama of which there is much. The program will also include two spectacular violin works, no concerto per se, but two pieces that are staples of the violin repertoire. It will become very clear to those in attendance why. We'll hear the Ravel Tsigan, which is a gypsy. In this day and age, we speak of this traveling migrant group of Europeans as Romanis, and he takes his sense of the gypsy flavor and incorporates it into a showpiece for violin. What's also interesting about this piece is the orchestra does not just sit back as an accompaniment, but it's fully integrated into the texture. Ravel is one of the great orchestral colorists of all time, and we get a great sense of that kind of interplay and his use of the very evocative colors that the orchestra is capable of. The other work, violin work on the program, the Saint-Saëns Introduction and Rondo Capriccioso, is a violin showpiece. It was written for a very famous Spanish violin soloist, and every violinist worth their salt will play this piece at some point, if not many times in their career, and it is an electrifying piece that has a very gritty flavor to it and will show our violin soloist off to her maximum capacity. We will close the concert with the London Symphony, Haydn's last symphony, Symphony 104. It is a work that represents the culmination of everything Haydn brought to bear in the symphonic form. It's also a fantastically interesting piece because Haydn had basically been let go of many years of service to the Esterházy family in Austria, and he hit the road, as it were, crossed the English Channel, the largest body of water he'd ever seen, landed in London and was almost immediately a celebrity. He wrote a number of symphonies over the course of 2 visits to London for concert societies, and the Londoners who had heard about Haydn from afar got to experience his genius up close. And on a second trip, he wrote the 104th, what turned out to be his last symphony. It is a crowning achievement. It is kind of everything that we think of in terms of the classical style. I'm sure Prokofiev, when he was thinking about how to craft a classical-oriented piece, was thinking very much about Haydn, if not the 104th Symphony specifically. It's a grand piece. It will show this orchestra off in its purest, truest sense.